was a pretty lazy teenager. I didn't want to do anything ever. You know, I stayed up too late at night, and then because I did that, I was tired the next day, and then I just loathed going to school or ever doing homework or applying myself or meeting new people and those sorts of things, like that negative domino effect. So
I know that you went from being in the field to transitioning to estimator and then to GM, right? Now you're talking about having the employee understand like what the switch is. Would you say it's more of like most people see the physical side as hard work and not the mental side?
I think I'm too nice. I have a tough time making sure they're pulling in the right direction and stuff, unless they're like really affecting a team member or client. Like let certain things slide, and then slowly your team culture fades and it's not as good. And business is one thing that's like either life or death.
Quite literally.
You succeed and you do very well and you're profitable, or you don't do the things you need to do and you atrophy and you die.
But again, it goes back to the same question of why? Like, why is it that we're doing all of this, right? Why is it that you get out of your comfortable job to get into an uncomfortable position of having to provide for other people? If anyone could take anything from this podcast, from you, what would that be?
I think it comes to...
If you want more than just this conversation, then join the newsletter. It goes out every single Monday, and it's a full breakdown of the biggest lessons, takeaways, how to apply them from the video. And I also include a little golden gym nugget for all you gym rats out there that will definitely help you out in your fitness and health journey. Plus, you'll also get the media list, which is 5 books and 5 podcasts that have generally changed the way that I think and the way that I operate. And I genuinely think that it will help you out as well. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all the links down below in the description. And let's get right into the video. Marcus, thank you very much for coming. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me, guys.
You had a talk today that was pretty interesting. But for the people that are not in Augusta, I want you to break down a little bit of your journey up to right now.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, they had me share my journey at the Augusta conference. So very quickly, I guess, way to run through it is I grew up in Montana. Pretty good childhood. Nothing too crazy to report, I guess. Other than the fact was I was a pretty lazy teenager. I didn't want to do anything ever. You know, I stayed up too late at night, and then because I did that, I was tired the next day, and then I just loathed going to school or ever doing homework or applying myself or meeting new people and those sorts of things, like that negative domino effect. So I was pretty upset with myself. I had no vision or purpose or dreams really in life. Up until the point I just kind of moved randomly across states to Bellingham, looking for a job, and randomly stumbled upon Augusta and was lucky enough that was actually the original location. So I learned directly under Mike, Lee, and Liz, basically the founders of Augusta, and worked for them for a couple of years and eventually started my own location. And we just recently, a few months ago, purchased my second location in Mount Vernon. So that's a quick rundown of my journey, I guess, so far. So my talk was centered around that, and then ideas for this coming year between the two locations, what we want to do for revenue and profit, those sorts of things.
What do you think would be your revenue goal going into 2026?
Yeah, so this year, both locations combined, I want them to do $1.6 million in revenue. I worked it out that if it was like a 16.25% profit margin, then that would net us $260,000, which is the exact debt I took out to pay for the Mount Vernon location, if that makes sense. So,
is your goal with the profit to pay off the debt for the
purchase
second location?
Exactly. I want to pay that off right away.
Absolutely.
And then once I'm done with that, then I have these two really huge performing locations that, you know, I could just kind of run in profit mode for indefinitely. It was kind of my goal starting my first location is like, man, my dream is to like have the two locations, each do 800,000 revenue, each profit, 20 to 25% profit margins. That would justify both locations having a general manager, and then myself being able to step out of the operations and also make pretty good money. You're kind of at that stage in business to where you could do that. So that's what I want to do next year to pay off the debt and then move on.
So before you got these locations, you went from crew member to estimator, then to manager, then you eventually went off on your own to the people that are either working regular jobs or people in Augusta that are team members, what do you think would be like one of those core skills that you would need to either acquire, learn, or just be natural with in order to move up the ladder successfully and maybe in a certain amount of time?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the best thing that like managers look for, it has nothing really to do with like the experience or anything, and it has everything to do with just like your energy, the way you treat other team members, the way you treat the clients and stuff. If you're always like going the extra mile and out of the way as an employee, you feel like nobody really cares or is noticing, but there's absolutely like a manager noticing you do those sorts of things. And if the team loves being around you, you're always like funny and, you know, great in the group chats and those sorts of things. And at team meeting, you bring the energy and you're showing up early and, you know, kind of have those intangible skills. And then you get to a point where like, you know, a manager will trust you enough to train somebody. And like, how do you deal with training somebody? Do you hate it and not want to do it? And then the trainee doesn't work out very well, or do you embrace it and, you know, show them everything you've learned and stuff? It's a lot more simple than I think people think. There's certain businesses where like the owner is like super lazy or not bought in or something, where it's like a lot harder to get noticed. And even then you kind of got to ask yourself, like, is this somebody I want to like work up in the company with? Or, you know, because there's a lot of owners that, you know, unfortunately, I feel like we've all had bosses that weren't as good and like people we didn't want to work for long term. So that's where you got to make the hard decision to leave. And, you know, once you join a team that is super welcoming and you feel like you do want to move up in, then that's when you could just kind of deploy those skills and stuff. So
That's actually one thing that I struggled with as a W-2 person, was like I never loved working for somebody, because it was always like, I'm doing all the work, this guy's in the truck telling me what to do, but then he never gets out. So it's like he's not really leading, you know, he's just kind of pointing and telling us to do. And I think that's the main reason why I switched to becoming an owner of a company. It's just like, I don't want my employees to have that same feeling, and I didn't like it either. Right. You know?
Absolutely. Yeah. Makes a huge difference. Where's your location again?
Danvers, Tennessee.
Oh, Tennessee. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're just right outside of Jason.
I see. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. No, it makes a lot of sense, man. It makes a huge difference, you know.
When it comes to managing people and either dealing with managers or employees, what do you think is one of those tougher challenges that people usually think that they're ready for, but they end up not being ready for? Because right now you're essentially acting as a regional manager, right? Because you have the Redmond location, which you're fully in charge of. And then you have the Mount Vernon location, which you have Tim as a general manager.
Tim was there. He moved on to Bellingham.
Okay.
So he was the GM under Mike, and then Mike sold me the location. So I'm pretty much the acting general manager and owner for both locations.
Okay. So then when it comes to just managing a large fleet of employees, which at this point are like maybe 10?
Just 7 right now. It's winter time, not a lot going on. Yep.
And then, probably in the spring, it'll go up a little bit. What do you think is one of the biggest challenges that people just think that they're ready for, but they don't end up realizing?
Yeah, a lot of employees, like when they see the manager, they see like, oh, this guy's probably just like relaxing, not doing a lot of hard work and stuff. I'm in the field doing all the hard work and stuff, until they actually get in the role of being the manager, and they're like, oh, hell, this is a lot harder than I thought. And like handling all the complaints and emails and stuff from clients all day, like it's not fun, you know. And most of them like really overlook that, and I guess that comes down to the manager too, just not like setting them up for like knowing what exactly that is. So, you know, in these next 2 weeks, I'm going to talk to both of I got kind of a lot of star players on each team, but I'm going to talk to 2 guys I think would make great operational managers and present them in that position, go over like in writing, what is the position, what's the compensation, just all the specifics and those sorts of things. So that if they do buy in, the roles are very clearly defined. And so is like their profit sharing bonus and what they make for wages and stuff, because they should know that. But honestly, I'm going to present that to them. And I'm basically like going to show them like the whole document, what the position would look like, and absolutely everything, kind of try to answer all their questions. And then at the end, I'm just going to like almost try to talk them out of it. Cause like, you know, you need that buy-in from people. If you don't have that buy-in, like, you know, spring rush is going to be crazy and they're just going to leave. So I'm basically going to be like, here's all the reasons like why you shouldn't join. It sucks and it's really hard. And you're managing crews and like it's not fun because people call out and you have to deal with the schedule, and same with the clients when they're mad about something and they need it fixed right now. Like you kind of got to decide on those sorts of things, and it's super stressful, and you can't help but like if you had a bad day or you were slow, you didn't get everything done, you have to do it at home and take the work home with you, which is really tough and stressful and those sorts of things. So I'm going to like lay it all out to them, and I think this conference is good. I'm bringing all my guys to this conference so that they could have all the energy and insights and things. And then once they get that operational agreement, I think they'll definitely see it as like an upgrade in their career. But me, at least being honest and talking to them about like, you're going to hit this wall in this position and it's going to be extremely hard. That way they know like in that moment, they could still make a conscious decision and be like, maybe this isn't for me and not what I want to do. Or, I'm up for the challenge. And, if they decide yes, then they could take a lot more ownership of it. Whereas like, if I were to just say like all the good things that might happen, then it's setting them up to fail. I feel like,
Absolutely. So I know that you went from being in the field to transitioning to estimator and then to GM, right? Mm-hmm. And now you're talking about having the employee understand like what the switch is. Would you say it's more of like most people see the physical side as hard work and not the mental side?
Yep, exactly. So these guys, like most of them had just like worked kind of labor positions or pretty like basic stuff. So they're really not used to, I have yet to have anybody that has like real managerial experience. So they just have no idea what it's like and like the mental toll it takes, just like as we talk about the physical side and like doing the work physically, like it drains your body and you're tired physically. If you're on the computer all day and handling estimates and emails and phone calls and stuff, it's the same drain, but instead of like physically in your body, it's mentally. And like, at the end of a lot of days, like Lee Park, he talks a lot about like being like a human calculator all day doing estimates. So he's like, man, at the end of the day, like you try to make a follow-up phone call and your brain's like fried. Some of the clients that call in, you're just like they ask the most basic question, you're like, it like perplexes you, just because you're so mentally drained. But again, it's like building that muscle. Physically, you build the muscle, same mentally, I think. So it's just, I don't know, man. Like, I think these GMs and operational managers will do well, but like really time will tell. Mm-hmm. Like you feel like they have what it takes and like they have the energy and the discipline to do it and like the want to do it, but it's basically like taking somebody that's worked in landscape and that's all they know. And like, it's a completely different thing pretty much. They have the answer to some basic questions, but dealing with clients and managing people, way different than just the field work, so got to make that transition a little bit more smooth, I think. And like, I think the best way to do it, like getting a general manager instead of just like field, pull them in, put them in the GM role, you should like slowly build up to where like, slowly but surely, if they're like a good employee, you can start to like give them a little bit of like drive-by estimates, go take the video, give them some feedback. If they're receptive to that feedback, you can start to give them a little bit more. And that's what I'm doing to my guys right now, even though they're not technically in the operational manager position. I'm still, each of them have their own laptop. They do some estimates and stuff. And then emails that come in from clients, I'll put in their inbox. They draft it up, what they think would be a good response, throw it in mine. And then I could give them some feedback on like, hey, this doesn't really make sense. And I wouldn't say this because this is the reason. And there's so many like little intricate things with the clients that we want to fine tune. And again, like, are they receptive to feedback or not?
Real quick, if you like this episode so far, then you'll definitely like the newsletter. It's a full breakdown every single Monday of the episode. You get the key takeaways, the key lessons, and how to apply them, plus a little golden gym nugget for your fitness and health journey. Plus, you also get the media list, 5 books, 5 podcasts that have genuinely changed the way that I think and operate. And I think that it will definitely help you out as well. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all the links in the description. And let's get right back into the video. Do you think that when it comes to managing managers, is it really more of an attitude kind of thing? Or do you think worth ethic and how good you are trumps that?
Managing managers.
Managing managers, because that would be the next step for you when it comes to general managers.
Yeah, exactly. Like for me or for them, the work ethic?
for them.
Okay, yeah. I think, man. They definitely have to have a strong work ethic. I mean, it goes beyond like their salary and their wages. Like it'd be great to just be like, you're making $70,000 to $100,000, and that's your base salary. Like, make sure the location's doing good. Most people like will see a certain base pay and be like, this is good enough for me. I'm not gonna like go the extra mile, or like the delta between my base salary and like the extra percentage I can make off profit sharing. It's not that big of a difference. So like, I'm just not gonna try that hard. So it's tough because you want to basically promote them into that position. Like, but honestly, if I had it my way, the base would be like bare minimum as low as possible and the highest percent of profit sharing, because, and like, I would like to be like that too. Like if I was back in the general manager position, because like it forces them to like bet on themselves. And when they do well, then they're going to make a huge chunk of profit sharing and, do really well. Whereas like, I don't know, there's not sometimes a whole lot of delta between the base wage and the profit sharing and stuff. So I don't know if that answers your question.
It does. It does. The people that will watch this video, some of them will be in Augusta Nation, some of them won't. Some of them will have employees, some of them won't. But what was the thing that drove you to not only look for something that challenges you and that is able to upgrade your skill set, whether it was just going from field member to estimator to general manager to then opening up a location, which is a business ownership, which is the final step. It's the hardest thing. What was the thing that kept driving you forward? Because a lot of people end up just being like, oh, I'll just be an estimator, or like, I'll just be a manager and just do that for the rest of my life. Yeah. So like, what was that drive that made you switch from like, I'm not just going to manage my whole life. I'm going to take the step and like go through all this pain and all this struggle and all this mess to do something better for myself.
Dude, honestly, it was just the osmosis, like I talked about in the talk. It's just like being around those sorts of positive things, not only the leadership team that I was around, but also the podcasts and audiobooks that I listened to. Even while like still listening to a lot of those things, I was still that kid that was like lazy and like, low-key kind of depressed and, was having a tough time in life and really had no direction, up until the point where it's like, if you're constantly filling your mind with those like positive thoughts and affirmations and business success stories and those sorts of things, I just it's weird, man. Like I just became that. It was never a conscious decision to me, like, I'm going to go way out of my way and have all these huge goals and I'm going to write them down on my wall and get to them. It was honestly just like, hey, I'm just constantly around this, and I'm to the point now where, I learned so much from Lee, Liz, and Mike, and, I know the field work, I know the estimator position, I was in the GM position, I kind of figured that out, how to run teams and stuff, so I was like, that's all the tools I need to start my location. So I guess that was the biggest leap for me, was like, okay, at that point, I'd listened to so many things, had so much support that I was like, okay, now I can make a conscious decision to have higher goals and drive for myself, and, really believe in myself. I didn't have a whole lot of self-belief growing up. So, I don't know. It just eventually came to the point, everything came to a head at the same time, to where I was just like set up to just go run a location. I had all the skills and everything necessary.
So what was something that flipped in your head to stop being the lazy kid? So like, I keep hearing you talk about that, and you keep saying that part of the osmosis was that drive. But like, when did you start realizing that what you were doing was not going to get you to the next step? Yeah,
absolutely. So, it was towards the end of me being in the field and me moving into like the sales estimator type role. That's when like, I got my first sort of responsibility. So that's when I was like, okay, I kind of got to make a change here. And again, by that time I had already listened to like several books and stuff, David Goggins, like going from nothing, almost death sort of like thing, to like eventually being the super successful guy. That times like 10 to 15 other audiobooks that are just like that one. So I don't know. It just the inspiration really drove me to honestly believe in myself. and like create a vision for myself and those sorts of things. And once you do that and get really vivid with your vision, then you can't help but just subconsciously have the habits, like waking up early in the morning, going to the gym, setting yourself up for success for the next day. It makes a huge difference, man. I can't say I've been perfect at that, but that's when things really changed a lot.
Did you just like wake up one day and you're like, I need to stop this? Or was it like a slow progression for you?
I think it was a slow progression. Let me think.
Because I did like in my case, I wasn't ever really kind of like the lazy. Like we all do the staying up too late playing games and stuff like that. I just remember one day I woke up and was just like, I'm so tired because I keep wasting my time. Like, why am I wasting my time? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I just woke up and from that day it was like, all right, I'm going to bed at 10, shutting everything off, whatever.
Yeah. Do you guys, do either of you meditate or have you meditated before?
I don't meditate. I started recently taking at least 30 minutes in the morning to just watch the news and drink coffee like an old man.
Huh.
And I do that just because like
It's kind of a form of meditation.
it is. I mean, I do that personally because I've noticed I've never been the guy to like be late or like wake up late, but like for some reason recently, I guess it's part of like the slight depression of like maybe not hitting a goal or like coming up to a road and just having issues to where I'm like, I only got like 6 hours of work today. I can push this off. Never been that guy. So now I made the decision. Like I woke up one morning, I was like, this needs to change. And I started taking the time because I realized in the mornings, if I don't do that, or at least take 15 minutes, I forget something at the shop. I forget to invoice somebody. I forgot to email someone. You know, like I forget all those things. So when I'm sitting there in the morning and just, you know, casually watching the news, I'm not on my phone, not doom scrolling or anything like that. I'm like, all right, today I need to grab this, this, and this, and this. And then also I got to go ahead and email these people and make sure like everything is set up for the day. Cause if I'm not prepared for the day, it just goes off the handles.
Yeah. Dude, how much of a difference did that make?
I mean, I've only been doing it for about a month now.
Yeah.
Of course, it's slow season, but I mean, we haven't forgot anything.
Yeah. It's huge. And in the morning, no matter what happened the day previous, you start the morning with like a moment of peace and to yourself.
A refresh.
You're like taking care of yourself, man. You're giving yourself the time to do that. Like I started doing mindfulness, the Waking Up app by Sam Harris. Highly recommend that one. It's just basically like taking the time to, they call it mindfulness. You know, when people start to meditate and stuff, they close their eyes and they're like, okay, I'm going to try not to think about anything. And you just end up getting a big headache because that's not how your brain works. You always have things like firing around in your subconscious brain. And basically how meditation is supposed to work is basically kind of like, if you think about like, me sitting here, if my like soul and my ghost were to just leave my body and like stand right here and watch me, they would just like observe, you know, I wouldn't judge myself. I wouldn't say like I'm doing good or here's things I need to improve on. Like business owners try to do a lot. It's just like being mindful, like observing yourself. And when you do that, like when you make a practice out of that, you can kind of realize like why you have certain moods and stuff. And it's good to almost have that like third person view of yourself. Like, for example, you're on your phone for like 2 hours on social media and you're scrolling. And whenever you're doing that, you have that like low level anxiety and you're kind of mad because you wasted 2 hours and stuff. So whenever I do that, I always end up like really mad. Like I'm in a bad mood after that. And like politics and stuff, somebody died, got shot. It's like, you're in a bad mood. So, you know, you come out of it and you're just like, you don't realize you're in a bad mood. You're just human and you're just going about your thing. But then, you know, when you do things like mindfulness, that's when you can sit down and realize like, you know, I'm looking at myself from third person. I'm like, man, I'm so mad. And it's like, that's kind of interesting. I'm mad. And it's like, oh, you know, I was just on my phone for 2 hours and not being productive. And maybe that has something to do with it. And then you keep kind of making a practice out of the meditation. You kind of realize like certain trends and stuff. It's so weird because like, I don't know, if we could just have that mindfulness and third person view of ourselves at all times, like life would be so easy. You just be like, oh, you're mad because of this. Like you didn't drink coffee in the morning. You're irritable, you know? So I don't know. I'm no master at meditation or anything, but like for my talk, I'm not trying to like convince a bunch of hard-nosed landscapers to meditate. But yeah, I don't know. That's helped me a lot actually. You know, moments of fear and anger and pain and loss and stuff. It's no judgment, man. Meditation is just mindfulness, just sitting in the room with yourself, watching your thoughts just like explode around these little thought bubbles going on, and not judging it, just noticing it.
It kind of sounds like to me that the meditation for you is kind of like having an argument with somebody, but not arguing.
Yeah.
Like it's more of like a conversation with yourself.
Yeah.
So when you are upset about something, it's not like fiery mad like you're saying. It's kind of like, okay, I'm mad. It's like a peaceful tone to figuring out why.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah. I wonder if I'm just not meditating right or something, or if it's different for everybody, but that really works for me. It's kind of like the thing that really works for me, like that clicked for me with meditation, is like, yeah, removing yourself from the situation. Like I just talked about, like your soul viewing from the third person. Like they say, like with your subconscious thoughts, you can never, ever stop them. Like even when you're dreaming, even when you're consciously trying to like block them out and stop them, it's impossible. That's why like people give up meditation so easy, just because it's impossible to just stop your thoughts. They're always going to be firing around. And how I like to do it is guided ones are so good because they kind of show you what to do and how to breathe and all that sort of stuff. So I always do guided, but whenever I do that and I have my eyes closed or whatever, I'm visualizing like, you know, just separating yourself. Here's me sitting here, my physical body, and then here's like the little animated thought bubble like ahead of me right now, and here's all my thoughts just like snapping off like 1 to 2 second like little visions and dreams and stuff. If you just kind of remove yourself and like I almost just look at that thought bubble and I notice like what's going on. Like it's just strange what your mind comes up with, and some of it's actually pretty funny. Like your own subconscious mind is actually kind of hilarious. Sometimes I just like break my meditation because I'm just like laughing. Like that's so random and weird. It's almost like you're dreaming while you're awake. Yeah. And I don't know, man. I'm new to the journey of all that stuff, so I could be doing it wrong or whatever. But that's really helped me a lot.
Seems like it's working.
I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's a wrong way about doing it. I don't do any meditation at all, so I don't know if what I'm saying is right.
Yeah.
But I think the whole point of it might be to just be okay with yourself, and yourself comes with your thoughts, right? There's a lot of people that the reason why they do a lot of things they do is to keep busy and to not stay still because they cannot deal with the thoughts that go through their head. Yeah. Because maybe some of them are like, oh, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, I hate the way I am, or like there's something traumatic that happened that I'm not trying to think about, trying to push away bad memories, try to push away bad intrusive thoughts, so they can't sit still with themselves. Yeah. And that leads to either burnout, bad decisions, emotional outbursts, and stuff like that. So I feel like it's almost like when you go to the gym, right? Like you go to the gym, you can't really lift a lot of weight, right? In this case, the weight being your thoughts. Your thoughts are way too heavy for you. But then the more you meditate, the more you lift them, the more you train them, the more you can lift.
Wow, man, that's a really good analogy. I know are you pretty strong with your faith?
Yeah.
Okay. So, you know, people talk about praying and being around the church and stuff. It's very similar to meditation, right?
So, I'm not trying to. So
you wouldn't agree?
I agree, and the thing is that this is what I think about it. Okay, I think that whoever it is that came up with meditation, well, this comes from like however long ago, right? Whatever, but it's all the same thing. When you say that you're like sitting with your thoughts, sitting with yourself, seeing yourself from a third person point of view, like let's just call that your soul, okay? When you pray, a lot of people say like you're talking to God, right? You're talking to God, you're asking for guidance, you're asking for this, for that. When you're meditating, what is it that you're doing? Like apart from just sitting with your thoughts, you're also talking to yourself like, like I wish I could be doing this, like I need more help with this, I need more help with that. Kind of sounds like you're asking for help.
There's something about meditation that is extremely spiritual.
That's the thing. It's like it's a fine line. I'm not an expert on it. I'm not an expert in my faith either. I'm not an expert in meditation, but it's a fine line when it comes to anything that has to do like those kind of like meditation, spiritual, self-discovery things that are borderline religious in a way. just sometimes people don't like that label as of religion or like God or like this and that because that means XYZ.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Seems like labels can really come with some other things sometimes, or perceptions of things.
Are you religious at all?
Actually, it's funny you asked. Grew up Christian. Christian sort of like after school program that I would go to. I saw it as a chore. My teenage guy that didn't want to do anything rejected, the church and all that sort of thing. I still, every once in a while, feel like I would talk to God. Like in my worst moments, I would pray to him, but in the past 6 months, I actually started going back to a church. It was kind of a big thing for me was the labels with certain religions and stuff. I always, my dad says it best is like he wants to have his own like relationship with God, and that's regardless of the camps or the groups or the politics of like the different religions and stuff. I respect people, in every religion, of course, and stuff. I feel like there's a lot of amazing people in every denomination, but me for now, just getting back into the church, I go to this one right near me. It's non-denominational, and it's really helped me a lot. And I don't know, I'm kind of getting back on that roadmap and that journey to start to ask those kinds of questions and stuff.
Exactly. So like in that case, I agree with your dad. Like this whole like politics, denominations, all that stuff. Like trust me, I don't get it. Like we're all serving the same God. Like we're all praying to the same person.
Yeah.
Whether you believe this, whether you believe that, blah 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 blah. You can get into the deep end of it, and it's like whatever, But at the end of the day, like what matters is exactly what your dad said. Like what's your relationship with God? Like where's your faith at? Right? Like if that's why I say like spirituality is kind of like because you're not putting your faith in anything but yourself. And that's where it can be a little tricky, because if you think you are the highest thing that there is, when you come up short, what else is there? Where are you asking for help? You can't ask yourself for help, right? Because you're the one that's messing up. And then that's when you find yourself asking like, I need guidance. I need help here. Please take away this. Please take away that. And who are you talking to at that point? Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's why I say it gets a little tricky. I'm not the best person to talk about that, but I do agree with your dad. What matters at the end of the day, regardless if you call yourself a Christian, a Catholic, whatever it is, XYZ, what truly matters is what is your relationship. And you don't necessarily have to go to church in order to make that relationship strong or not. What matters is like, what do you do behind closed doors, right? Like at your worst moments.
Yeah.
Because at your worst moments, it's very easily like whenever you get backed up into a corner, you're going to ask for help, right?
Yeah.
But what do you do when you're high up?
Yeah.
When you're like succeeding, when the business is going great, when your relationship is going great, where you're the happiest there is, like that part tests where your faith actually is, right?
Tyler talks about that spiritual discipline of praying every day, no matter what.
And like saying thanks, in Augusta Nation, we talk a lot about giving more than you take. Same thing. Be more thankful than give more thanks than how much you ask in return. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really powerful, man. You kind of got me thinking.
So can we kind of dive into the religion thing?
Sure, yeah. Bit? Can I ask you, are you religious?
So I have the same issue you do. So my family didn't really grow up involved with the church. It was more or less of like, if you want to go, like, we're not going to hold you back. Like, there's no reason to not. My mother believes in God, but we just don't go to church. And I think part of that is everyone has their own walk with God. Everyone's heard that before.
Yeah.
And everyone's walk with God is different and special. Personally, I struggle with some things about the religion. I think the Bible is a great teacher for morals and like what's good and what's bad. And it does have a lot of teaching things. Now, I actually heard this recently, and I was having a conversation with somebody about this, is like the stories of the Bible. Because some stories are not told like this is 100% truth. I think most of the stories could be ways to get you to the morale or like the right thing to do, like splitting the sea, getting them out, stuff like that. I feel like like we weren't there. We don't know if it actually happened, right? But that's part of your faith, is to believe that that did happen. It's believing in something that you can't see, smell, or taste or anything like that. So I guess my question with you about the religion is, I really don't even know how to like, do you 100% believe in all of the stories in the Bible?
Oh man.
Like Noah's Ark, you got, Adam and Eve.
Yeah. Firstly, I'm just kind of starting to work through the Bible again. Just finished cause like as a kid, like, they do sections on the Bible and workshops and stuff, but I wasn't there mentally for that. So, I'm familiar with like some parts of Genesis and Adam and Eve and
Where you at now?
Sodom and Gomorrah. I started at the Gospel, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Finished all of those.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, and then that was great. Yeah, the like basically testament of like Jesus when he was on earth. What did he do? How did he walk? What did he say? That was really powerful stuff. And from there, moving on to Acts. So I'm on Acts right now, basically just getting started. And then guys I'm talking to at church, they're kind of guiding me in the direction. They say go wherever in the Bible, but they kind of said start with the gospel, maybe go to Acts and then Romans. So that's where I'm going to start to go. So I'll really kind of take it slow and digest it and stuff. And as far as like believe the stories, I kind of can't help but believe them when I'm reading it. I don't know how to describe why. Definitely when I was outside of the church, outside the Bible, I didn't embrace it all. Like, no way I believed it. Now I don't know. I don't know how much of it is like me having the actual faith versus me just like the osmosis of like them saying it's true. So I think it's true. I really don't know. I wish I had a better answer to that, but I'm just like, I don't know. It's really cool to ask those questions, have these sorts of conversations. Yeah. But
I really do like, even though I'm not fully I guess 100% believer, but like, what is a 100% believer?
Right.
I like having these conversations with other people's because you have a different perspective and everyone has a different walk with God.
Yeah.
Like my cousin is very religious and he's one person that I go to when I have questions about the Bible. Mm-hmm. And it started with him because like, I think me and you both had a similar struggle with someone in our close life committing suicide. Mm-hmm. And part of that is very hard on me. And I'm sure it was hard on you as well. And that kind of brought me back into, if there's a chance that it is real, why wouldn't I give it a shot in believing? It's worth more to me to believe in it than it is to, possibly go to hell.
Yeah, at the very least, yeah.
So just questions about the Bible that I always struggled with was the stories. And like you said, when I do read the Bible, I do feel that they are true, but then I kind of like second guess it. I'm like, well, like I know technically Noah built the ark and did everything for the flood and stuff like that. And he did it because he had a higher power speaking to him. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But like, did they really build a big enough boat to put 2 of everything on there? Right. Why'd we keep mosquitoes? Like just funny things like that. But like, I struggle with some of the stories about the Bible. But the things that I take away from religion is, for one, now I'm blanking, but you're a slave to the lender. That's one thing that I take big. So like borrowing money, you're always slave, so you're not free. You don't have any freedom because you have to make that payment, like stuff like that. So I see debt. They talk about debt in the Bible. They also talk about a husband that follows his wife, or not follows, a husband that listens to his wife will have a great future.
Right.
So like, I take those things out of the Bible and transpire them into my life. So why wouldn't I believe?
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, if anything, it's just great morals and values to live by. That's for sure.
Yeah, and like when it comes to like for both of you, when it comes to all those little details, especially in the Old Testament, there's a reason why there's an Old Testament, there's a New Testament, right? There's things in the Old Testament that would not run in today's society simply because back in the day everything was way different.
Yeah.
That's why there's a New Testament. The whole reason why the Old Testament is still a thing is because that's when you could say God was most active. When it comes to like prophets and all these people that would talk, free the Israelite, whatever, free all these people, whether those stories are real or not, what it's meant to portray is that God was there the whole time throughout the whole thing. And no matter how hard he tried with his people, it still wasn't enough. That's what the Old Testament is really, right? Whether you get with whether Noah's Ark was big enough, whether insects, whatever, unicorns, whatever you want to say, like all that does not really matter. As like, think about it in landscaping terms. Think about it like when you're cutting grass. When you're cutting grass, like the customer's not telling you like, hey, this is my type of grass. Make sure you use this mower, right? Like they're not telling you. They're just telling you cut the grass, right? For like just put it in layman's terms, the whole point of the Bible, if you want to take religion or if you whatever, it's simply a step-by-step guidance, especially the New Testament, step-by-step guide on how you live your life, how to protect yourself from harm, from the outside, from other people, from yourself, and essentially how to be a good person, right? The Old Testament gives proof of how bad a people can be and how much a God can love you. And the New Testament is proof of what that love entails and how hard that love can be. Because whether you believe Jesus came down or not, or whether you believe he's the Son of God or not, whatever it is, there's a guy that lived and was all about his faith, so much to the point that he died with a smile on his face, and he said on his deathbed, God forgive them for their sins, for they don't know what they do, right? Like, imagine that someone went through all the humiliation, all the sacrifice, all like the lashings, betrayal from his loved ones, imagine your best friend. Imagine your best friend, your closest friends betrayed you, gave you up to the cops, and then they did everything they did with you. And he still said, I forgive you. I love you. Like, whether you believe he was the son of God or not, like that deserves praise. Like, I know for myself, I would never be able to forgive someone like that, especially if I die because of that. So like I said, little details, there's probably better people to talk about that, but the whole point of it is that Old Testament is proof of God. New Testament is proof of the love that God gives us through his son that came down and paid for all of our sins.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing, man. It's super powerful. Both of you have really powerful stories about your relationship and your faith with God. I really do admire it. Like I said, I'm just basically just starting from square one, like learning all this stuff again, and it's really refreshing to hear it from you. I've been staying in this hotel with Tyler, so he's been talking to me a lot about stuff like that too. And
Yeah,
it's just amazing.
and it wasn't always like this. I mean, I grew up similar, like how you said. My parents are Catholic, so Sunday was always church, and I would be like, Mom, I don't want to go. Like, I want to stay home. I want to play video games. Like, it's so boring. They talk, and I don't know what they're talking about. And it's just like, why do we have to stand up so much? Why can't I just sit down the whole time? And then sign me up for Sunday school. And it's like, Mom, I don't want to spend my Sundays there. Like, I want to just play with my friends. And so like when that gets forced on you, it creates a lot of church hurt. That's what they call it. They call it church hurt.
Church hurt?
Church hurt. Well, there's church hurt where like maybe like a church. This is why I say like denominations and all that is kind of like politics. Like you said, it's weird. Like you don't have to go to church because there's some churches that take advantage of people. Right. Sure. That's the thing. And that's why religion gets a bad rep, sadly. There's a lot of church hurt, people that are hypocrites, people that hurt people, or like they're like, because you're not doing this, you're a bad person, or your faith is not this. Like there's a lot of intricate details when it comes to that. But either way, when it comes like to my story, I strayed away from church, and therefore I strayed away from God throughout like all of my teen years because of that. But it wasn't until I was at the worst moment in my life up to that point where I was like, literally nothing else is working out. Like, I am down bad. It doesn't matter who I talk to. It doesn't matter what I do. I can't get out of this. And it was like, well, I have nothing to lose, right? So then that's when you humble yourself. You're like, maybe I don't have all the answers. I don't have what it takes as of right now. So I need to ask for help.
Yeah, right.
So then that's when, you sit down and you start reflecting on everything. And then you're like, you know what? Maybe I should probably start asking for help.
Definitely.
With a higher being. And that's when you go into this whole thing. And what really matters is like the people that you have in your corner in that moment. Because a lot of people go towards like self-aggrandizing. They go to vices, and don't get me wrong, the gym could be a vice and could be a coping mechanism as well, as much as good as it might be. Working a lot is also a vice and it's also a cope. And that does not do anything when it comes to how you feel about yourself.
Right.
So after trying everything, I decided, well, I'm gonna go to church, see what happens, right? Everybody's talking about this thing called God, and everybody's talking about this guy named Jesus and like how happy they are and stuff like that. So I was like, I want to be happy too. So you start going, and then you start seeing things, and hearing people's testimony is probably like the biggest change, or like the biggest trigger when it comes to like whether you want to be in this kind of game or not. And then you start seeing things for yourself. You start praying, you start getting a little closer. I mean, you're doing great by reading Matthew, Mark, and Luke. And after a while, you start seeing things that you're just like, that's weird. Because I went through the same exact scenario, but there was a bad outcome. Now I'm going through the same exact scenario. The only thing that happened was who I was talking to, where my faith was, and the way I was going about things. And now there's a good outcome.
Right.
So you're just like, this is not me anymore.
Right.
This has to be something else.
Definitely.
And then you start seeing things along the way.
It's pretty amazing. I mean, it seems like all three of us had very similar experiences where at first we kind of like resented any sorts of religions or church because it just came with like rules and chores basically, and that's how it felt. It was the same way for Tyler Kukul. I hope you talked to him at some point. He was kind of the same thing. He resented it at first. He didn't want to be a part of it until eventually, like he said, like he was in his late teens. He had just started the business with Augusta, and he just kind of was going out in the world and trying to find truth. Like that's exactly what he said. And have either of you guys read Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson? Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude, that's one of my favorite books of all time.
I started it.
It's one of my favorite books ever.
I've done like audiobook like 4 times.
Yeah, dude, me too. Yeah, I've read it so many times. So Steve has a pretty interesting view of just like religion and everything. When he was like 13 or something, he was like, I believe a lot more in spiritual experience rather than received dogma. And the dogma is the things that the church tries to like basically force down your throat, of like, we do things this way because this is the way we've always done it in this church. And so you can't help but resent that. But Steve is talking about, I believe in the spiritual experience as in walking around the world the way Jesus walked it. I feel like a lot more powerful. He felt that way. And I kind of agree with that too, because, like you said, a lot of religions, there's goods and bads. There's a lot of amazing people in religion. There's a lot of people that take advantage of others. And that's why it gets a bad rap. But honestly,
the biggest struggle that I have is like, I think the one reason I don't go to church now, and I kind of have like a personal relationship with God is like, we're living in East Tennessee. The one thing I can't get around with going to a church is, did you see what Susie's wearing? Did you hear what Mark? Did you hear about her husband? What he did? He cheated. Like you go to church to learn about God, and it's just a gossip club, and who has the nicest car, who's dressed the best. Like that absolutely makes me mad. And they talk about it like it's not for you. It's not. if I were to wear a 3-piece suit to church and someone wears a collared shirt, we are no different.
Right.
I'm dressing for God. I'm not dressing to impress people of the church.
Right.
And the religion specifically says the only person that's supposed to judge is God. You're not supposed to judge each other. But that seems like that's what 90% of people do inside of their own religions is judge each other. They're not being a brotherhood or a sisterhood or anything like that. They're not being what's the word I'm looking for? Holy. They're not being wholesome, not being holy. They're not being godlike.
Right.
They're just, it just seems like it's like they're doing the complete opposite of what they're going for.
Book club, gossip club, and stuff.
Yeah.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah. Of course. I mean,
So like,
You can't.
it's like all the different religions: Christianity, Hinduism, Buddhism, everything.
All the isms.
Do you feel like those are all different doors to the same house?
oh, I would love to talk to you about this. This is the funnest thing I love talking about religion is,
You think I'll-
no, I know.
You have a ready answer.
So I have a ready answer.
I have a ready answer for all of you guys.
There is no face to God, but we say him, right? And there's no definition of what God is. Never says that God is a person, God is a thing, God did the Big Bang Theory, God, whatever, right? But everyone has a feeling that there's something above making decisions. So could it be possible that God is different to everybody, you know? And part of that is like, some of it, I believe that God could be the Big Bang Theory. It's what kicked off whatever, like there's science stuff that like science and religion do cross at certain points. As in Moses or the Noah's Ark. Noah's Ark, there was flooding on earth. And then the Bible talks about the great flood, right? So I feel like it's different for everybody. And going back to your question about, do you think it's the path to the same house? It could be. I mean, I think not everyone knows the exact answer of who God is or what their God is or whatever, but it could be the same house, you know? Mm-hmm. I think it's different for everybody what God means to them.
All right.
Well, guys.
Oh, he's gonna have a different answer.
Well, guys. First of all, I want to address what Parker said about like the church community and all that stuff. I think that, well, I don't think that this is what I've heard from my pastor. And by the way, if you like, quick tip, I think I got this from Lee, but then it was reinforced by one of my mentors. The way that you know that you're at a good church is if the pastor that is giving the sermon, knows more than you about not only just what the Bible says, but like how to apply it to real life, the examples of it, and how he falls short. That's very important. How he falls short, and how he treats his community. Right? There's different pastors that might preach a lot, but they don't really show how they don't tell you what to do. They don't tell you what it means, or they don't tell you how to interpret it into your own life. Because a lot of the things that the Bible say might be a little controversial at times. And it might be like, well, how does this apply to me? And as a preacher, as a pastor, he's essentially the teacher. He's supposed to tell you how to apply things. He's supposed to tell you what this means, at least to him. You know, it might mean different, might have different meanings for different people, but all your teachings should come from someone that is, again, knows more than you, knows how to apply it, is not a hypocrite, and knows when he comes up short, right? Those are like, even when you look at like leaders, like those are the people you want to follow, mm-hmm. right? You look at someone that is a great leader, a great manager, a great owner. Those are the type of people that you want to be behind. So like same exact thing for a pastor and therefore a church, right? And like what you were saying about people at the church being hypocrites and all that. Yes, that is true. And there's always going to be that at any church, whether it's a good church or a bad church. But the thing is that if you are strong in your faith, and if you say that this and this and that, you also have to understand that like that's the point. Like the point is that we are not anywhere near perfect. Like as much as I want to say that I am strong in faith, as much as I want to say that I believe this and this and this and that, I sin all the time, and I am a horrible person sometimes, and all this and this and that, and like my neighbor's the same thing, and you're the same thing sometimes, and you're the same thing sometimes. So like, who am I to judge Susie for judging fucking Martha about whatever it is that she's wearing? And even pastors themselves, they're sinners as well.
I mean, I agree with that. We're like, that's part of it. We're not perfect, right? I think I have a problem with it is because it distracts me from being able to take what the preachers are saying, especially when they come to me about it. If like when I would sit in a pew and someone leans over and is like, "Did you see this or did you hear that?" I'm just like, I'm trying to do this. I don't care, and then I'll sit somewhere else, and then like I'll hear it behind me, and it distracts me from.
Well, that's a change that you have to make. You have to change churches.
I don't even go to any of the churches. I went to
better.
I went to 9 different churches in my area.
Sometimes, I mean, how many?
Another thing I can't stand is when the preacher is talking about politics, like you're saying, like actual presidents,
Exactly, yeah.
and gays and all this other. I don't want to hear that shit.
I mean, it's like employees. How many employees do you have to go through before you find a good one? How many churches do you have to go through before you find a good one?
Yeah, it's the hard work to.
It's hard work. I mean, I've gone through a lot of churches before I found the one that I'm at right now, and it's completely comfortable. Yes, there's some people that are questionable, but for the most part, 80% of the people are great people. They're all great examples, and they're all great examples because they have a great leader to follow. The pastor, he's somewhat young, has like 8 children, loves his wife, and the good thing is that, and the good thing is that he's human. He talks about his downfalls. He talks about how he comes up short. He doesn't aggrandize himself saying because I'm the pastor, this and that, you listen to me, whatever. No, like it's not about the relationship you have with him. It's about the relationship you have with God and Jesus.
Yeah.
So like, yeah.
So that's very humbling to like, for the pastor to talk about where he comes up short. Mm-hmm. Switching it to like business. Can I ask you guys, like, where do you think in your business, in your franchises, you come up short the most?
Okay, I guess I'm going first.
I'm thinking too.
I know where I come up short. It just takes a little balls to say it.
Really?
Yeah, I come up short whenever something goes wrong, and I mean I'm working on this, but whenever something goes wrong in my life, it takes a little toll on me, and sometimes it might divert my attention. And because it diverts my attention, I am not as either efficient, or I'm not as focused, or I'm not as like laser precision as I would expect someone to be in my position.
You're saying if something happens in your life outside of work?
Outside of work, yeah.
Okay.
It like takes all my attention.
Yeah.
When like sometimes it's understandable, but like at the same time, if I'm expecting to have, for example, like a general manager or someone like a direct report, if I'm expecting them to, no matter what, business comes first, or like when you're clocked in, this is what we got to do, and then deal with your life outside of work when you're not clocked in. If that's what I'm expecting from them, then I should do the same. But sometimes I like that because, I can, or because I'm just lacking in that department. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's tough because as the leader, the decisions you make and just your actions and everything are like magnified times 10. Whereas like if you're an employee, they also have stuff going on in their lives, but like maybe they just got like one less job done during that day. Yeah. Like it doesn't really make too much of a difference maybe, but yeah, that's super powerful. I know it's really impossible at times to like be super focused on business. Like I was just home in Montana. I always go back to see family for the holidays and stuff. I was there for 2 weeks, and then coming back, trying to get in the groove of things was really hard because my focus was on like relaxing and being comfortable and like letting go and just being with family and stuff. So getting back in the groove and like refocusing, it's tough. There's always things that are going to throw you off. And I remember at one point, like you had a death in your family, right? It was like around the time maybe you started your location, just a year after or something. Was it your grandmother?
Yeah, it was my grandma.
And she was in Colombia, so we went back.
So I had to stop everything, go back. So she got sick in April, so I had to spend a weekend over there. Then she passed away, if I'm not mistaken, like September, something like that. And then just recently, my grandpa also passed away. But
Wow, when was that?
in March.
Oh man, I'm sorry.
Well, I guess not recently, but yeah. So, I mean, these are things that happen, right? And well, the thing about me and death is kind of weird. I mean, when my grandma died, I was happy for her because she was going through a lot of pain due to cancer and stuff, like chemotherapy, like all this. And not only that, but like my family that was with her was also going through a lot of like hurt because they would see her and be like, I mean, like, this is not her. Like, it's so bad, blah, 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 blah. Like, so I'd be like, I mean, if anything, like, I feel happy. It's weird because everybody else was crying. I'm just like, I mean, guys, like, I understand, but like, she's not suffering anymore.
The relief of her suffering.
And I was talking to my pastor about this, and it's just like, yeah, like, it's okay to feel like that. Because the way that I saw it, I was like, you guys are acting kind of selfish in a way. Like, because you love, my definition of love is sacrifice, right? You sacrifice a lot of things for the people that you love, right? And in this case, I would be like, well, you guys have to sacrifice, like, as you can see, I'm still trying to figure this out. It's, the way that I saw it was, you guys, even when she was alive, I was like, you guys are being a little selfish by not just letting her be at peace and keeping her alive. You're doing that because it makes you feel good. It makes you have, like, that's what you want to do. What about what she wants to do? What about like how she's feeling? Right. If you were in that position, would you really want to stay and live every single day through pain and stuff? Like, I know I would want my plug pulled. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like,
it's just tough.
It's a little, it's a fine line.
It's tough for the kids to decide, like, when's that time.
Yeah, it's a very fine line. So it's
you
like,
never want to let go. That's somebody that, you know, your mom or your dad, you know, you think for your parents' standpoint. So, man.
I think mine and yours is similar. My problem is, instead of it being more of a personal thing, like, I keep myself to a very high standard, I feel like. And when that standard gets kicked or I get kicked in the teeth, like I was talking to Mike today after conference. I was talking to him about it, and I kind of like lose the hunger that you kind of talked about. Like, for an example, this year I went on a bachelor party. That was my bachelor party. Left a guy in charge. He's worked for me for a long time. I said, can you handle it? Yes, I can handle it. Okay. Asked him at the end of the week, I said, hey, did you give everybody cut? And he said, yes. So I charged everybody's card, and 18 people called me pissed off. Why did you charge my card? You didn't show up to cut the grass.
Ooh.
And 12 of them were brand new. Week before that, I dropped a lot of clients that I no longer wanted to service because they were problematic. They didn't want to put a card on file, whatever it may be. And I replaced those with the 12 people that I brought on. Well, like 12 out of the 18 left and went to a different supplier. I offered, of course, I gave their money back. I offered a free cut, like anything that I could do to get them to stay. Like, well, we can't trust you with our card information. You won't take checks. So that took me from meeting my goal of 20 grand of reoccurring mowing down to 14. So after that happened, I kind of like, I don't know how to kick myself out of the funk of like getting hit hard. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think that's
like taking the shot and moving on quickly.
Yeah. Like, I don't know how to pack dirt into the wound and keep going. Like, I just sit there and bleed.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. It's tough, man. Yeah. It's not easy. For me personally, I think it relates to like leadership. I feel like when people aren't pulling their weight, I think I'm too nice. I have a tough time making sure they're pulling in the right direction and stuff, unless they're like really affecting a team member or client. Like I'll just kind of like let certain things slide, and then slowly and slowly your team culture fades, and it's not as good. And you know, if they get away with things they shouldn't get away with and stuff. And I think I was wondering what you guys think about this. Actually, I was thinking about this kind of this last day or two. People run things differently at each location. The way I run it with scheduling, usually for the team, is like I give them a full route, and if they're super efficient, no callbacks, I'll just let them be done early if they're done early, you know, instead of like putting more on their schedule all the time. I'll just be like, hey, I gave you your route today. I'll give you a lot of autonomy. Like if you want to make a lot on P4P and then just be off and do stuff with the rest of your day, feel free. So I very rarely like stack, unless we're like really behind. I very rarely like stack on extra services to their schedule, just because it's like a mental thing for them. Like once they're done, they know they're done. But talking to Tim Andy's Mike's brother, who's running the Bellingham shop right now, he's like, you do that, and people kind of start to become lazy, or they almost like expect to, they expect to be off around like noon or 1, and then anything past like 1 o'clock seems like a long day to them, which is like, these are people that are money motivated, like would definitely like benefit from longer days, making more money, but it's just like, you kind of put them in the position to be complacent, I guess. It's tough because I want them to have the autonomy and like, and that sort of thing. But I also like want what's best for them, which is to make them more money and also push them harder. So what's your guys?
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
I suggest that you leave it up to the team member.
Yeah, I would say the same
Ask
thing.
them. So
What they want to do, if they want to do longer days.
yeah, so like let's say you give them 8 budget hours, or let's say 6. I don't know what your schedule is. You give them 6 budget hours worth of mowing that day, and then that day they got it done in exactly 6 hours, and they got to go home early. I would pull them aside and be like, "Hey, do you want more? Like I can.
Yeah.
Do you want more, or do you want to go home early? Like if you do more, you get more money for P4P.
Right.
It's kind of like in school, like extra credit.
Yeah,
It's optional.
exactly.
Yeah.
If I could have done all my homework in high school and got to leave early, hell yeah. But
Right.
if they're like, hey, if you get all your homework done, and then you can also start doing your college stuff, or go to a college course, I probably could have done that. Like, I don't know if I would have motivated at the same time. But
Yeah,
I'm saying,
definitely.
like, I would leave it up to them what they want to do.
Definitely. Yeah, I do ask them if they want more services, but usually it's like, no.
Well, that's the thing. You could also do it as like a screening thing for future general managers. Because like, let's be honest, like future general managers, like you want them to excel, right? You don't just want a regular team member to take that role, because it takes initiative.
Yeah.
It takes a different kind of hunger, a different kind of drive than just a regular team member. Like if you find a team member that's like, yeah, I want more. Like I want more money. I want more
That's
this,
a
more
GM.
that. Like that's GM caliber. And like, how I would do it is like you make like an announcement, maybe like a team meeting or something. Be like, hey guys, like you guys know that usually we get out early, maybe like 2 hours, 3 hours early, depending on how fast you guys are. If there's no callbacks, nothing, if everything's 5 stars for the day and you guys finish early, we will always have the opportunity for you guys to make more money for those remaining 2 hours or however long it takes. If you guys want it, great. If you guys don't, then that would be on you. But just so you know, there's always that opportunity. And the people who snap at that and people who get on that are usually people that you want to, one, keep long term, and two, possibly want to consider for future positions in leadership.
Definitely, yeah.
So
I think another reason why I would leave it up to the team member is because like me and you and him all have a different incentive or a different portion that we want to focus on in our life. Maybe some of your employees want to focus on family versus money, and some are focusing on money because they don't really have a family yet. So everyone has their own thing that they want to prioritize, and I think giving them that option gives them the freedom. It also kind of breaks the tension of like you're not shoving it down their throat like, hey, like you got done at 2, that means you can get more work done. You know what I'm saying? Like, we still have goals, but if they're able to meet the goals and not have to work till 5 o'clock every
Yeah,
day, you
right.
know, or if they want to work till 6, like,
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely a good idea. Just kind of give them their own decision, like extra credit, like
It's
you
giving
said.
the power back to the people.
Yeah, absolutely. I will probably have to do some forcing of long days this spring because just thinking about my goals, it'll kind of be wrapped around like, we only have a certain amount of assets and trucks, and we could only have so many people to fill those trucks before we're completely full. And if all of those guys are full and all of those trucks and all of those assets, but they're all doing like half days and nobody really wants to do longer than that, then you don't have 10 people, you have 5 people kind of, if everybody's doing half. So that won't get us really to our goal. So probably maybe the springtime, it's going to be like a rallying thing that like, hey, springtime, we're trying to grow, have a super strong vision for the team so that hopefully they could buy in and be like, hey, this is a time where it's tough, it's longer days, it's raining, a lot of things going on, but you will make the extra money, will be longer days, and then coming into summer, like that's when we'll have such a bigger client base for us to be able to market to, and then that way your hours don't get shortened when it's dry in the summer, and then in the winter when there's really nothing going on at all, you still have plenty of hours. So
maybe I'm thinking it might be smart to do a higher profit share quarterly to incentivize them to work harder.
What I would
Longer
say,
days.
what I would say is that, like, again, giving them the power back. Like, you're making your own money. You don't necessarily make your own schedule, but you can definitely cut your schedule a little shorter than just 8 hours if you're efficient, if you do go to work.
Yeah.
But even during the spring, if you give them the mindset of like, hey, every single thing that you do during the spring, it's gonna set up literally the rest of your year. Like during the summer when it kind of slows down, whatever, you could make a lot more money because if we keep every single customer and even more from all the extra work, all the extra hours we're putting in the spring, like all of that, you're gonna see it in the back end of the year, and even through the winter season when it's a little bit slower. You won't have to find another job because guess what? All that work we put in the spring is being reflected on the winter because now we have more customers. Now we have more people to drop money from, right? So it's like giving them also that owner mindset of like, hey, we're putting this frontward investment during the 3 months that are like essentially hell for the rest of the year to be exactly what we need it to be.
I just thought about this. I don't think your guys are making P for P. They're making a higher hourly rate because you're basically paying them at a day rate at that point. It's like you give them a route and then they get done at 2 versus getting done at 4. So they're not making P for P technically because if they were to work that other 3 hours, they would make so much money for the day versus the hour. So like they're doing, let's say $500 a day in revenue, and they're getting 33% of that and nothing more. But they're getting it done in a short amount of time. So it looks like they're making more per hour when really it's trying to get them more yearly with the P for P. Does that make sense?
yeah, I think so. Like, yeah,
It's inflated because they're leaving early. If they were
That's
to
like
work the whole
that is the
schedule-
whole point of P4P.
It is, but they're leaving early is what I'm saying to you. So
Whereas, like,
P
if
for
they-
P, if they work till 5,
if they had extra jobs on their day, they'd get more jobs done and actually make a lot more money that
exactly,
way. Yeah.
exactly. So you might want to break that down to them and be like, hey, you guys are, what are you charging per hour?
A little over 100 at the Redmond location.
Okay, so are you doing 33%?
Yeah.
So they're technically making 33% or $33 per budgeted hours. So if they're super efficient and they get it done in 6, right? Is that what you're kind of giving them per day? 6 budgeted hours?
About so, yeah.
About. So
6 to 8.
they're doing,
About almost $40 an hour.
Yeah, some
So-
of them are doing really good on P for P.
what was your hourly again, 100?
A little over 100. It's like 101.
All right, so
Just say 100.
$600 a day is what they're technically creating for the company. They
Times
get
times 0.33.
divided by 3. So they're making
200.
$200. Now, if they get that done in 6 hours and they leave early, they're making $33 an hour. But if they were to work 2 more hours and create another $200 for the company, 800 divided by 3, they would have made another $66 that day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
And that makes a huge difference
divide
over
that by 8.
paychecks and weeks.
Actually, it is. I take that back. It is the same. It's the same $33 an hour.
But they're putting more money in their pocket than just $200.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
the business,
they're making 2 more hours of $33.
exactly. And the business is higher in revenue and all that stuff. It's just a matter of adding stuff to the schedule, even if they're making the same like dollar per hour rate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might just have to break that down for them. It's like, yes, you still made the same amount in 6 hours, but if you work that other 2 or 3 hours, you make another $66 a day. $66 a day times 5 is a great increase. Way more money for you.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
Man, it's been a conversation, no? We've been everywhere.
Everywhere from P for P to theology to
To your personal beginning.
yeah,
and
exactly.
Your story.
To death and life and crazy, man. Do all your podcasts go like this?
No, not all of them.
Sometimes when I do my own, I like to dig a little deeper.
Yeah.
Right, because I don't think everything's so superficial.
Yeah, definitely. I like
I
that.
think there's different sides to different people.
Absolutely. You could really go deep if you like keep going, you know?
Oh yeah.
Most people on a daily basis, we're just in our routine, do the same sorts of things and the habits and like the things we need to do, dispatch board and whatever. We never really like stop and reflect and go deep. That's something that like when you go camping and you're just like out in the woods off grid, like you're looking at the stars, you can't help but wonder and like, I don't know, ask those like super existential questions.
Are we alone?
Exactly.
And aliens real.
I try to drive home, no music, no nothing.
Wow.
Dead silent.
Dang.
Because I want to think about my day and
Yeah.
what we did good, what we did bad. Like I try to take those notes because that's where like most people
Dang,
personally grow
yeah.
is in their lone time. Before technology, you had conversations, and I think people were kind of smarter then because of that. You thought about your day, you thought about different things other than trying to mask it.
I don't think necessarily smarter, but definitely more connected to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, connected. I think that's a leading cause to depression, anxiety, and other things.
Yeah, you're so disconnected from your own self.
Yeah, you're not thinking about, like, that's another thing with drug addiction as well, I believe, is like, instead of doing drugs, go to a therapist and figure out what the cause is. Because in corrections, when I was a correctional officer, I dealt a lot with that. You're like, well, it was because, you know, I had my grandfather died and it threw me down a spiral and now I'm here and it's the system. It's like you were using the drugs to feed your feelings or to hide your feelings.
Yeah.
To cover them.
That reminds me of a quote in a movie, Beautiful Boy, where he's like, the kid's a drug addict and Steve Carell's the dad. Have you guys seen that one?
No, I'm not, but that sounds crazy.
It's Timothy Chalamet's the kid. It's a really good movie. It's pretty,
The good boy.
it's Beautiful Boy.
Beautiful boy.
Yeah. Basically, like just what you were saying, a quote from that movie, like Timothy Chalamet is a kid, teenager that like, you know, gets super into drugs and things he shouldn't be doing. And I think he eventually does like meth and pretty bad stuff. So he goes to rehab, and part of rehab is like those sorts of AA meetings where you like talk in front of the people and say like, you know, your story and all that stuff. Try to like that therapy of being in the room with those people. And, the quote from that movie, he said, he's like, I used to think my problem was meth. And then the doctor told me like, no, that's just how you've been treating your problem.
Exactly.
And I thought that was
crazy.
really powerful, you know?
Exactly. A lot of people do that with social media. It doesn't even have to be a hardcore drug. A lot of people do that with social media. They want that dopamine hit. They want to see, you know, someone else doing better than them or someone else doing worse than them to make themselves feel better. But it's a short period of time that they feel. Like me and Ricardo talk about goals a few times where like once we get to the goal that we set, we're like, we're there. All right, what's next? Like we were like, all right, we're already over with the goal. And I think part of that is because we're so used to seeing people do higher and better things that we're never really proud of ourselves. And so I try to take time, either sit alone, meditate is another thing, but for me, meditating is like driving in the truck, just thinking, no music, no nothing, just thinking. The 30-minute drive home or whatever I've got.
I like to put meaning and definitions to words. I mean, if we talk about meditating this whole time, which people make it seem like it's a grandiose thing that only people are like above reality thing that they can do. But meditating is really just like being with yourself in a quiet place. Like that's really what it is. And that's also what praying is, if you want to put it in simple terms, right? I think that when it comes to like goals, like Parker said, goals are great and all until you accomplish them. They just become like, oh, we just did it. Hey, great.
Right.
And then you're like, oh, there's another thing.
Especially most of our business owners too. Like you don't give yourself the time to celebrate and actually realize like what you did with those goals and be proud of yourself. You're always moving to the next thing.
No entrepreneur has ever really celebrated the fact that they have generated income on their own. And the thing is that is like a really rare thing.
Yeah.
Like it's really rare. Like most people for the whole life will go, like they will go on with their life. They'll go to college, get the job, whatever. And the money that they make is because of someone else that has had the idea that they're part of now. Mm-hmm. But the fact that you went out on your own, and whether it's like mowing grass on your own, whether it's you clean a car, you make money, whatever it is, as small and as big as it can get, the matter of fact is that you have generated something out of thin air, essentially.
Yeah,
and
it's like you went out in the woods, killed it, and drug it home. Like you brought food home, and the employees are the ones that are eating off of it, that cook it. But you had to go out there and kill it, you know?
Yeah, and it's like making enough money to also provide not just for yourself but for other people. Yeah. Like if you think about it, sometimes it can really go into like a really huge rabbit hole. Like your employees have lives, and some of them have families, and some of them have kids, and some of them have goals of their own, and some of them had aspirations that you are having and you are living now.
Right.
And the more you think about it, the deeper it gets. That's why I try not to think about it so much.
They also depend on you.
And that's scary.
Yeah, absolutely. It's super terrifying. Yeah.
That's the hardest thing is firing a guy.
Yeah.
Like, unless they absolutely did something horribly wrong, but like, I always hate firing somebody because I'm like, I hope this doesn't put them on a bad path.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. Business is so like, it's really crazy because it's like one of the only things that like, you know, you take a big risk because you could just work a job the rest of your life and whatever, but business is one thing that's like either life or death. Like
quite literally,
you succeed and you do very well and you're profitable, or you don't do the things you need to do and you atrophy and you die. The people that like stay in like the mid range where they're not really that profitable but not really that unprofitable, there's huge industry change always happening, and you just will get swept in the tidal wave. So you're either successful or you die, which is like, it seems really raw and like hardcore to say that, but you know, it's a brutal thing to realize, but it's also pretty beautiful because every decision you make is in your hands. And instead of you working at like a Fortune 500 company and you're like number 2000 something on the depth chart for making actual decisions within the company, and like your decisions never really get noticed or taken action upon, like,
or you get laid off.
Yeah. It's like you do the things you need to do, you're successful or not, and you die. Like, what more beautiful way is there to live a fruitful life, you know? And not having a plan B is something that's helped me a lot, because I've always thought like, if this doesn't work out, I'll just go do this other thing, you know, I'll figure it out and stuff. But cutting off the plan B and what I did, you know, purchasing that Mount Vernon location, $260,000 of debt, like no plan B. Like, I'm not going to go get into like another industry right now. I got to
double down.
Yeah. All my chips are in the table, hone in, go super hard, bet on myself. Because at the end of the day, I know I could change my actions and my behaviors to represent success. And it's in my hands, which is the way I prefer it.
And it's a very liberating feeling because, like you said, when you're in a job, the amount of impact that you bring, especially in a large corporation, is like bare minimum, right? You want to make a change, you have to talk to your manager, that has to talk to their manager, that has to talk to blah, 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 director, and then maybe CEO, right? Even if it ever gets to that. And there's not a lot of purpose that there is behind that either. But just the fact that you get to make your own choice, and your choice is reflected in real time most of the time.
We should just say what it is. Like, you're a sheep.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Like, there's a lot of people I love and in my life that like work for corporations and stuff that like are valued and move up the ladder and stuff. But, you know, for those that are just kind of in that position, they're going to be there for 30, 40 years until they like, quote unquote, retire. Like you're kind of a sheep, you know, you get told what to do. And like a lot of people, that's like why they have midlife crisis and stuff. Cause they like,
It's no purpose.
yeah, they'll start talking to people and then they'll like be like snap out of it. Like, oh man, like I'm gonna be dead someday. So why should I just live my whole life on another person's like time and money? And why should I like let somebody decide for me to have like 2 weeks of vacation a year and that's just my life? It's like it doesn't make much sense when you like zoom out like that.
Most people don't take control of their life. Like,
Yeah.
my dad kind of explained this to me once. Was like, when you worked 20 years somewhere, that was supposed to be the kickoff of your life. And then after that 20 years of working for them, you are supposed to do the things you're supposed to do and build your own personal wealth to not have to work for anyone else the rest of your life, or start a company, do whatever you want to do, go into politics, like whatever you want to do in life. You were only supposed to do 20 to 30 years, but during that time you're supposed to do what you're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
So always be thinking about betting on yourself. Like, yes, you might work for someone because you may not have the skills to be an owner of anything, or like you just might not have it in you, right? But if you work for someone, don't waste all of your money on stupid stuff. Like, invest it into real estate, invest it into stocks, invest it into something that will get you to the point where you want to be, where you can do what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if anyone's listening to the podcast that works a job, and you may have had a company that didn't succeed, for one, don't ever give up, bet on yourself again. But for two, if you do work for someone, just know, start today investing into something else.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you working a job to the day you die is not the end goal. It's not.
Right. Absolutely.
And kind of like what you said about doubling down and putting all the chips on the table and kind of betting on yourself. Like that, regardless of the outcome, that's a much way better path, because you control every single aspect of it.
Yeah.
Right. And like
everything's your fault. You know, you take ownership.
And worst case scenario, you fail. Right. But then you also have the choice of like, okay, I failed, and is this going to be it? Right. If you fail at a job, you get fired. That's it.
Right.
There's not much
you're
else.
really good at your job for 20 plus years, and then you're laid off.
And then that's it. Everything you've worked on for, there's nothing to show for it. You know.
Right.
So it's like, okay.
It's like I have merch from the company. I have like a blanket that says the company name on
a coffee
it.
mug.
A coffee mug that says the company name on it, and that's about what I have. You know, it's kind of depressing. I mean, some people, they'll work a job and that's their passion. They love it, and they would rather not
And that's great.
manage and lead people. And you know, a lot of times we question, like, I'd rather be doing anything but managing people right now. You know, it's a really tough thing to do, but again, in the grand scheme of things, we're all going to be dead someday, so why not like really go for it, you know?
My wife always jokes with me. She goes, like, I'll come home, I'm like, why the hell do I do this? Like, I hate, like, I'm just so irritated, whatever happened that day. And she's like, because you love it. I'm like, what do you mean I love it? I'm, like, pissed off. She was like, you're going to go back tomorrow and do it anyways. She was like, you're passionate, you love it. Like, that's why you do it. I was like, damn. Like, that's true. Like,
Yeah, it is
Third
true.
person point of view.
Yeah,
It's bad,
absolutely.
but
That's exactly what that is.
She's like, listen, in March, when you do all this mulch and you do 30 grand in mulch and this, that, and the other, she's like, you are riding the wave. You are so happy. And then, like, you have one bad day and you're like, I want to hang it up. And then you get a $10,000 job and you're back all the way up here. She's like, you love the ups and downs.
Yeah.
You're just at a down right now.
If you think about it, it's kind of weird, because you get out of a job in order to control your schedule, in order to get more money. But
That was a lie. That was a lie.
You end up not being in control of your schedule, and you end up not making a lot
Yeah,
of money.
right.
You end up spending more money than you make.
Yeah. A lot of people say I own a job.
Yeah.
You literally, I mean, that's what it is for a very long time, until you eventually make the job business.
Yeah, absolutely. And that, you know, that transition, I think, is when you hire the general managers and leaders under you, so you could completely step out of the day-to-day while you're still making good money. That's financial freedom right there.
So I think we're getting to the end, about to close it up. Everyone's getting tired.
Sure.
Yeah, but I think that before that, like you said, eventually you get to that point, general managers, employees, all that. But again, it goes back to the same question of why. Like, why is it that we're doing all of this, right? Why is it that you get out of your comfortable job to get into an uncomfortable position of having to provide for other people? Why is it that you go through this pain? Why is it that you go through debt? Why is it that you put yourself into a house worth of debt?
Yeah.
Why would you do that? Why would you take that chance? Why would you put essentially that responsibility not only on yourself, but also on your team to go through all that? Like, what is it all for? I think that is what drives not just yourself, but the machine that is the business. And if you don't have that why cleared up, then you become one of the statistics that, again, owns the job.
Right. Absolutely.
And it's the same, and you can translate that over to any facet of life. Why is it that you go to the gym? Why do you want to be in shape? Why do you read books? Why are they interesting to you? Why do you want to be a better person? Why do you want to follow God? Why do you believe? Why do you want to
He's
believe?
pulling that from Morgan, right?
Yeah, right.
Because it's interesting. Like, why is it that you do anything?
Yeah. It's a really good thought exercise for sure. There's a book, Vivid Vision. Have you guys read that one?
I have read Vivid
That was a
Vision.
good one.
I need to.
It's kind of like almost answering the why question in a way, at least for your future, like where you want to be eventually. Vivid Vision's all about like, where do you want to be? Like when you're, I don't know, say like 60 years old, like when you wake up, what are you looking at? Is it a house? What sort of house? What's the trim look like? What does it smell like in there? You go outside. Is it like, what's going on? Is it a barbecue and you smell the barbecue? Is your family there? Is there the kids? What do your kids look like? It's like having super clear, vivid vision to where like, especially when you have a bad day or something, and you need to like retreat into the future. You could close your eyes and just be there and feel it and feel that like warm, sunny day, smell the barbecue a little bit, and then just kind of visualize everything. So you're like kids running around, like having a super strong vision has helped me too. So finding your why and vision.
I guess my final question for you.
Yeah.
I personally don't like working for people because of like, for one, you got to rely on them, and then for two, I didn't like being a part of the company that, like let's say they do a charity or something, and they're like, look, let's say Pilot gas station raised all this money and gave it to so and so forth. I started it because for one, I want to retire my dad, and then for two, I want to do things for people in need. Like we had Haleen come through our area and like took out a bunch of stuff, and we took cases of, or like a whole pallet of water to places that didn't have any, and it was just super sad. Houses wiped off the map, like there's no more house, anything like that. All their stuff is gone, nothing. And like it really hurts me to see people struggle like that. And I think that's more of a purpose for me for starting a company and going through the suffering, is so that I can have the income or the finances to help people. Is there anything that kind of caused you to have a higher purpose to start a company versus just working at the corporate location forever?
Yeah. Very, well, I wouldn't say we're very similar, but somewhat similar to kind of your vision. So I guess that kind of goes into my vision, what I want for the future. And like when I close my eyes and when I envision my future and what I want, my day kind of looks like this. I wake up, I have a nonprofit. It's called Stick to Violence. It's something that Lee's talked about at some point. His dad used to run like a similar nonprofit. It's basically a nonprofit to teach kids from domestic violence backgrounds hockey. You could come in and learn the game of hockey, which kind of think about it from domestic abuse. Like think about life in general. Like people see domestic abuse in the household and they kind of replicate that growing up. They think that like hitting others and like stealing and like bad things are actually okay, and they replicate that behavior, which is like when you get a kid like in a playground to like kind of experiment with like a mini sort of life scenario. In our case, it's hockey. It's when you do become too violent, you go sit in the penalty box, and then it hurts the rest of your team, i.e. like your family, if we're talking about real life. So it's like those little consequences that they feel on like a friendly game basis that like they could start to use in their real life. So when I talk about my vision, what I want my money to go towards, it's starting like a nonprofit like that. And then, you know, the other half would be towards getting a property out close to the mountains. I want to get a big like industrial greenhouse and a lab in there to start to work on like plants and new plant varieties and those sorts of things, and kind of be that old man that tinkers on plants all day. You know, hoping that one succeeds and stuff. That's how kind of I envision my life. And you said it best. It's like, you know, the money we get, yeah, it's great, but like, what can we use it for? And like, some people are like, you know, money's the root of all evil. You can't get rich. It's not a good thing. You know, obviously
Money is
it's
a tool of
yeah,
God.
of course, money is a tool to like do good things for other people, and it'll just magnify, like, you know, if you're already a good person, then you get money, you're just going to use it on other people to do good things. People that say money's evil are poor.
Yeah, money is just a magnifier. If you're already a bad person, you're going to be a worse person with
Of
a lot
course.
of money, because it's
Yeah,
just adding fuel to the fire. Before I ask my final question, I want to ask: have you heard of the the story of the Mexican fisherman? Mm-hmm. So I don't know if I said it before.
No, I don't think
Jeez,
it's
somebody
mentioned it.
said that on some podcast or something somewhere, but yeah, tell it.
Yeah, I got it from a podcast. There's well, the way they told it was different. I tell it a little bit different. So there's this Mexican guy. His name is Juan. Right, let's just call him Juan. He has a best friend. His name is Jeffrey. Right. Jeffrey is a banker. Jeffrey owns a regional chain of regional chain of banks. So Juan, all he really does is he gets up in the morning, says hi to his wife with his kids, has breakfast, then goes out fishing for most of the day, grabs a couple fish, and then comes back home and has dinner with his wife and kid. That's all he does. And one day, Jeffrey's like, "Hey Juan, what you doing?" They're just catching up. You know, they're all friends from high school and stuff. So he's like, "You know, I'm just go fish. Then I'll just go home to my wife and stuff." And he's like, "Say, Juan, how many fish do you catch a day?" He's like, "You know, I catch just enough for, you know, to have food for pretty much the day or 2 days." And then he's like, "Well, you know, if you didn't just work 8 days and if you worked a little bit more, you could maybe have fish for the whole week or for more than just 2 days." He's like, "Yeah, that's true." And then he's like, "Yeah, and then if you actually work 7 days a week and you get 10 hours worth of fishing, you actually will have a surplus of fish, and you can just sell that fish off and then make a little bit more money and then maybe upgrade that house that you have." He's like, "Okay, but why would I do that?" And then Jeffrey's like, "Well, because then you would not only just live better, but then you could maybe hire some guy to help you catch fish. And then after that, you have more money, which means you can get another boat. And then once you have more money after that, maybe you can buy a whole rig. And then after the whole rig, maybe you buy a fleet." And then Juan's like, "Yeah, but why would I ever do any of that?" And then he's like, "Well, because once you have a fleet, you can start a company. And then once you start a company, you can make a lot of money buying fish. And then once you have this whole fish corporation, then you can do whatever it is that you want." And then he's like, "Well, what is it that you think that I want to do?" And then he's like, "Well, don't you want freedom and time for your family and a lot of money to do whatever it is that you want?" He's like, "Well, listen, what I would want to do then is what I'm doing now. Get up, have breakfast with my kids, go fish for a little bit, come back, and eat dinner with my wife.
Dang.
So why would I go through all that if I'm living the life that I want to live now?" And then Jeffrey has like this whole midlife crisis of why he ever started doing anything, because Jeffrey, on the other hand, doesn't get enough sleep. Jeffrey wakes up very early, comes home very late. He doesn't see his kids. His kids don't really know who Jeffrey is. His wife is borderline on the fence of divorcing him because he's never home. He has a lot of money. He's a very, very wealthy banker. He has everything that he has: the house, the car, the nice, luscious lawn, the 3 dogs, fence, and all that. But Jeffrey doesn't have his kids with him. He has kids, but what kind of dad is he? Mm-hmm. He has a wife, but what kind of husband is he? And then Juan's like, "Why did you do all that? Why did you go into the banking business? Why did you open up 6 branches? Why did you build up this whole thing that takes up all your time? He's like, well, I did it because I wanted to spend more time with my wife and kids and wanted to give them everything that they ever wanted. He's like, well, you've given them everything that they wanted, but you're forgetting the fact that they just wanted you.
Wow.
Right? I'm pretty sure they would trade all your cars, all the house, everything, just to have more time with you. I think you kind of lost part of the play there, that sometimes we are living the life that we want. And the whole point of this is that sometimes life is just it's much simpler than what we think it is. Like, we think that we want $1 million business. We think that we want all these employees under us. We think that we want all this and all that. When really it really just comes down to like what actually really makes you happy. What is it that you want? Because if we go through all of this pain, if we go through all of these chapters, all of this up and down, firing, hiring, going broke, having money again, doing loans, all of this stuff to just end up like Jeffrey, I don't think that's a life that's worth living.
Wow, man, that's super powerful.
I honestly think that's a problem with men. Like, I watched it with my dad. Like, he's been a great father, don't get me wrong, but like, he worked his ass off to provide him or his children with whatever they wanted, but he never asked what we really wanted. You know, it was more of a monetary thing that we wanted versus a relationship thing that we wanted. I like that you told that story. Never heard that before.
Thank you for telling that. You told it very well. That's super powerful. You said, like, what if we're already living the life we're meant to live and want to live? Like your wife had talked to you about, like, like you're actually in a great spot and you actually love it, but like you're just having some bad days sometimes. But
we're just too caught up in the metrics.
Yeah, maybe like this is what we want to do. Wow,
you never know.
That's a pretty amazing story, man.
We strive.
You have kids or wife?
No, nothing like that.
We strive to be.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Let me get a golden retriever.
No, because of Max. No, I'm a big black lab guy. I grew up on those.
Yeah. Well, the point is that we often strive to be Juan, not realizing that we are already Juan, and we end up being like Jeffrey.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to round it up, last question. We have mics, we have camera, we have the internet, we have a lot of people that might watch this, both inside and outside of Augusta. If you had one message, if anyone could take anything from this podcast from you, what would that be?
I think it comes to vision, meditating on what you really want for the future, asking those questions about why and getting it super vivid to what you want. Because in the worst moments of your life, you could always retreat to the future. That's what Elon Musk, that's what Steve Jobs, what all the greats talk about, is when they're in their tough times, they actually retreat to the future mentally. And they know what they want. And, you know, they could fall into the trap of the story you just talked about, but everybody's working towards something, because if you're not, it's just a stasis and it's an atrophy, and you start to lose those muscles and you die. So if you're not working towards something, it's life loses its purpose. So get that something, make it very, very clear and defined. We're in winter right now. Spring's about to come up, so you have plenty of time to spend time off from your phone, have these conversations, meet new people, and really have a strong reflection on life, because one day we're going to be like 60, 70, 80 years old, and we're going to regret not doing certain things. So you better figure it out now, because, you know, that time's going to fly, I think, for all of us. That's my advice.
Marcus Roberts, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. So much. Thanks for having me on here.
Thank you so much for watching that whole episode. It really does mean a lot to me. If you like it, then you'll definitely love the newsletter. It goes out every single Monday, full breakdown of the episode, key takeaways, lessons, and how to apply them, plus a little golden gym nugget for you guys that need help in your fitness and health journey. Not only that, you also get the media list. It's 5 books, 5 podcasts that have generally changed the way that I operate and think, and that I am convinced that will also help you as well. All the links are in the description. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. In the screen somewhere, there's going to be more videos that you should definitely check out.